Hey everyone, so I'm going to walk you through one of my fine art edits. This was from the reject pile and I found it in my catalog and decided to edit it, and I'm going to share my edit with you today. The first thing I like to do is crop to an 8x10. That is a size that I love to print, and I'm going to straighten it a little bit to make sure that it's right in the middle. Adjust the size. I like to use a high resolution camera because a lot of times I like to crop quite aggressively, as you can see here. I'm trying to get the stem straight. And then what I'm going to do is go in and see what I want to change. I need to get rid of this dead leaf here. I want to maybe clean up the petals, make them a little bit more painterly, and bring out some details. So I'm going to raise the exposure just a little bit. I'm going to open the shadows just a little bit as well. And then I'm going to go over into Photoshop. Once in Photoshop, I want to tackle this wayward leaf, which is actually kind of interesting. If it doesn't work out, I might just leave it there, but I'm going to give it a go first. I want to just use the object removal tool here and just kind of see what it does. It does a pretty good job. And my finger is looking a little bit weird there. We'll see if we can't make it look normal again. And there's a little bit of this leaf that I want to remove, and I actually might go in here with a smaller brush to get rid of this bit like that, and maybe remove that there. And the next thing I want to do is run my action, which is a painterly action for my floral images, and it's based on the oil paint filter, and you can see that it has 3 layers, a sharpen layer and a painting layer. And it starts to soften and just gives a little bit more of a painterly look, because paintings don't have always as much detail as photographs, and it just helps to knock back some of the extra details. I'm going to grab the painted layer here and a brush with a black mask. I'm going to make sure I have a regular brush chosen. Nice soft brush and 50% opacity up here. And I'm going to remove the painting from the middle portion. And I'm also going to just lower the overall opacity to about 60% or so. And then I'm going to flatten that. Spot healing tool brush. And remove some of the little imperfections. And then I want to go in and color tone this, and I do that with exposure software, which used to be Alien Skin. So filter, exposure software, and I actually like whatever this happens to be, which is Kodachrome 2. It's one that I modified as a preset, and I like it a lot. This is the before and the after. It brings out some of the details in the middle by adding contrast, and it also shifts the yellow more to a warm yellow versus a sunny yellow. And for me, I like that look a lot. It also mutes down the greens a bit from more of a yellow green to more of a cool green. And hit apply. And I'm going to flatten that. Then I'm going to save that back, Command S, save it back to Lightroom. And I like to mark that as a 5 and a 6, which is red and number 5. And I'm going to make a virtual copy, bring that back into Photoshop. And there I'm going to run a painterly action that I have, which uses generative AI to take this floral picture and turn it into something that's a little bit more painterly. So I'm going to run that action now. When I run this action, it is just a selection action. It's just going to select all of the picture so that the generative AI can do that. And I want to go and open up generative fill. And then I'm going to say, let's do 16th century vintage oil painting, and just see what that does. Hit generate. I try to keep it pretty simple in Photoshop. In Midjourney, I can be extremely detailed. I found that generative AI in Photoshop, you need to be a lot less detailed. It looks kind of silly. I'm looking for one that lines up with my picture exactly. And as you can see, it's changing a lot of what's happening in the picture. I want it to actually line up specifically with the picture. The other option that I could do is use what it generates as a painting background. Yeah, it's being a little bit too creative. This one's fairly close as far as the blossom shape goes, and it is, yeah, no, not so good. I like the background of this though. I think the background is nice here. So what I'm going to do is invert this mask, and then I'm going to take a soft brush, a large brush at 50% opacity, and I want the brush to be white, and I'm going to paint on a bit of this texture onto the background. So instead of adding a light overlay or adding a texture, I can use generative AI to be a bit more subtle. And then I'm going to flatten that. And then I'm going to go into the spot removal tool, and I don't like how this bit of texture generated here. I'm going to remove that and just clean up some of that. And that gives that old world feel that I love. Bring this back to Lightroom. So we have two versions now. We have this version, which is straight out of Exposure Software, and now we have this one, which has the Painterly background, and I like this one better. Bye, everyone.